Greetings, welcome to the SciFi Pubcast, the podcast that tries to be a pub, and perhaps someday a pub that tries to be a podcast. And as always, we are looking for customers to come visit our bar. Yes, I'm looking at you. If you're passionate about something, want to be on a podcast, please let us know. This bar is all about community. And I'm looking around, well, we have a regular crew. Yes, we have Derek Beebe. Hi, Derek.
Hi.
All right. And we have Carrie Simpson.
Hi.
And it looks like we're in desperate need of a medical doctor because Derek is a bit under the weather.
I could grab my bouquet and cut his head off. That'll cure it.
Yeah, I don't know. He has the sniffles. He looks sick, but he always looks sick. So I don't know. Yeah, my name's Joe Welch. I'm the owner of the SciFi Pubcast podcast / now YouTube channel apparently. But yeah, so we've been doing this for about two and a half years, and we're doing this for fun because it's all about the passion for fandom and for science fiction. And yes, that's Derek's head. Derek, have you tried drinking like a hot toddy, rum? Anything like that?
I honestly don't know what a hot toddy is.
Oh god.
What is
He doesn't drink, Joel. I mean,
I know.
I had some sody pop at Subway.
why would he know what a hot toddy is?
Oh god. Yeah, he probably doesn't. But
I know I really don't. What is it? Is it tea or coffee or?
It's rum.
It's
so
hot?
It's served hot.
Yes.
With stuff in it. I'm not entirely sure. I could probably figure it out.
Okay, at this stage, I need to look after my own heart because I care. So I'm going to be pouring some red wine because apparently red wine's not bad for you. I know there's some studies that are a bit conflicted, but there we go. Hey, I didn't spill any. Excellent.
Are we doing ASMR stuff now?
No.
All right. This is, by the way, this is Jackson Triggs Niagara Estate Reserve from the Niagara area where I'm from in Ontario, Canada. So it's VQA, if you know what that means. You guys probably, Derek probably doesn't know.
I don't know.
There you go. Vintage Quality Alliance, but still. So, besides Derek being sick, how are you doing, Derek? Talk to me.
I'm good. Work's been crazy, but that's why we come here to the bar to relax and experiment in culinary techniques.
I'm afraid. I'm already afraid.
Yes.
Well, this week I worked out a new meal. I made a deal with the gentleman from the back of the truck 2 blocks over. I call it Hippocratic Goats. It's a little bit of goat meat and a little bit of what he assured me was imitation hippo meat, not actual hippo meat, because of course that would be illegal. I don't really like the taste of it. It's a little gamey, but I don't like nice food, so what do I know? I assume if I don't like it, that must mean it's good.
I'm sure this is going to bring us herds of customers into the front door, right?
I'm afraid.
And they'll be hungry.
I'm very afraid.
Yeah, wow. Food for thought right there. No. Carrie, how are you doing? What's in your life?
I'm good. I'm good. I just actually got home from a weapons demo this morning, so I haven't even had a chance to change out of my gi.
Right. When you say weapons, what type of weapons are we talking about?
Boken and staff mostly.
Cool. Interesting. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say that your fists are the deadliest weapon of all.
I don't know. Sorry?
I said I thought you were going to say that your fists were the deadliest weapons of all.
No.
That's excellent. I love that. In Joel's world, I don't know, this work stuff happening in my life, but I'm here and I'm enjoying my science. So it's a SciFi Pubcast. So that's kind of what's happening with me. Also, I'm considering going to medical school. Now, how does this work?
Oh.
Okay, so I got this contraption. How do you use this again? Okay, let me go.
Props.
Wait, that's not going to work.
If you don't
earphones.
know,
I don't know. Maybe I can.
If you don't know, Joel, there might be a problem.
Hopefully I get into med school. So they let anyone in nowadays, apparently, if you have money. But
well, if that doesn't work, you could always go into prop comedy.
There you go. Yes. Speaking of the guy who wore a X-Wings helmet last week, 2 weeks ago. Lovely. Okay, let's move on because we're talking about medicine and all that good stuff. But before medicine, science fiction, and medical doctors, we're still experimenting with YouTube. We're looking for feedback. If it's something the viewership or customership enjoys, please let us know. We're trying to expand our community because community for us is important. Because we're just regular people talking about things we love. There's no business interest in this endeavor. As for our beer recommendation this week, I stumbled upon, I use the word stumble loosely, this really interesting beer from Flying Monkey Craft Brewery in Barrie, Ontario. It's a science fiction themed beer. It's called Sparkle Puff, Galaxy Starfighter Defender of the Universe. It's a triple IPA, so Indian Pale Ale. Being triple, I actually don't know what that means, but I know it's a strong beer. It's 10.2% alcohol by volume. That's insane. And it's very bitter. It's 37 on the IBU scale out of 100. That's the International Bitterness Units. So, check it out. There's a picture of a cat with laser beams coming out of his eyes. So, you can't go wrong with that. I did post some pictures on our Instagram, so if you want to see the logo, by all means, check out our Instagram account. Oh, God, I need a sip of this. My heart, it's my heart.
Mm-hmm, of course.
Okay, we all...
Water.
Yeah. We all get sick, and there are sick and wounded people in science fiction, too. Who do they turn to when they need help and healing? Well, let's talk medical doctors and healers and other folks who practice medicine in the science fiction. You notice we're doing like doctors, the medical doctors, and not say lawyers, because if we did like
not
lawyer,
that kind of doctor.
Yeah, no JDs, right? Which I have one, because lawyers in science fiction, it would be a really short show. Yeah. And, the other thing, just going off a bit of a rant. Here's a question for you guys: why don't we see firefighters in science fiction? There's very few firefighters. Like, these poor folks, they deserve some respect.
Well, isn't it just all automated fire suppressant systems?
No, God.
And stuff?
Yeah, I was going to say, by the time the future rolls around, I'm sure they have much better technology that they don't actually need people dragging hoses of water around.
You're saying the robots have taken over their jobs?
Or just maybe little vents in the ceiling.
Oh, God, really? Now, the only firefighter thing I can think of, besides Fahrenheit, help me out here, 931?
451?
Yeah, thank you. Ray Bradbury, is, of course, the firefighting ships in Revenge of the Sith of Star Wars. During the first major space scene when they go down through the atmosphere of Coruscant. That was pretty cool. So shout out to George Lucas. Yeah, bring firefighters into this picture. But we're not here to talk about firefighters. We're here to talk medicine doctors. Let's talk about probably something that the franchise we are most familiar with, at least you guys, not me, who are, there's lots of doctors in this franchise. Let's talk about Star Trek. Guys, who's your favorite Star Trek doctor?
I love McCoy. McCoy is classic, Trek. I had a huge crush on Bashir back in the 90s, and Alexander Siddig is still just hot. And I kind of like the idea of the EMH, just because that would make things a lot. That would just be very easy to just have someone scan you and tell you what's wrong.
Yeah, there's so many examples in science fiction where there's some sort of device. You just sit in the chair and then it just tells you what's wrong and cures you. We're not there yet, I think, in our own technology, but maybe someday, I hope. But, Derek, what's your input, man? Get it?
Well, DS9 is always my favorite Trek. I don't know if I would really pick Bashir as the best doctor. While I'm not a huge fan of Voyager in general, I did really like the holographic Doctor. He was probably my favorite character on that show.
So
he was always a hoot.
So it was good programming then?
Yeah. And on the subject of Star Trek and doctors, I love the idea of a hypospray because I am deathly afraid of needles. I have a serious literal panic attack at even the thought of getting a needle. So the thought of something that can just press against your skin and not really inject you, that would be a godsend for me. I really need that. And I read an article many years ago that they had invented something like it, but it's still not in common usage yet, unfortunately. But I think the real world version of it is that it's just a lot of very, very, very tiny needles, and they're so small you don't actually feel them. So rather than one big thing going in, it's a bunch of little micro injections that are so small you can't even feel it. But I am anxiously waiting for that because I really cannot take needles.
Wait. So Derek is saying that he is deathly afraid of needles, but he would be okay if there were a bunch of tiny, tiny needles.
Well, yeah, because you wouldn't even feel it, because it wouldn't. The whole thing is psychological, of course. It's not a rational fear like most are, but it's just the thought of something being forced into your body where there's no hole for it to go into. It's like not even just the pain; it's just the psychological torment of it. But to me, if it was like a bunch of little things, I don't know, that's different because it's not a single point of entry. It's just like boop.
I mean, so tattoo needles are right out then.
Oh, I would never get a tattoo in a million years. No.
Okay.
You know, Derek, I wish I could say I could relate, but I don't mind needles. It's the whole colonoscopy stuff, of which I'm deathly afraid of. So until they get some sort of
I wasn't even good though, Derek.
Yeah, I have not had the pleasure yet. So I'm sure I won't like that either.
Yeah, so if there's some sort of a hologram from Star Trek as a doctor who can help me out there, please, by all means, so warp me into the future because, yeah, I want to experience that. Well, I don't want to, but, it's probably a better experience overall. Yeah, yes, there's that. See, that's the thing. Everyone gets sick. Yeah, everyone gets injured. Everyone gets wounded. And storytelling is no different. And, I have to admit, there's some differences in the personalities about the doctors in Star Trek. Yeah, Julian Bashir is one thing. The Doctor from the Voyager is another. I'm a big fan, of course, Bones, Leonard McCoy, because I'm a classic Star Trek guy.
Well, also he was always ready with something to shoot you up with, for any ailment,
Yeah, he played.
He was always there with a hyperspray to cure you of something.
Yeah, and I relate to his personality as being this bitter, just result-oriented, jaded, but very competent professional. Yeah, and the fact that his character is from the Deep South, you have this coming across, just a no BS approach to medicine. I love it. Speaking of love, this is probably Derek's love. Beverly Crusher, anyone?
I do like Dr. Crusher. Yes.
Yeah, I thought she was a very.
This is a unpopular opinion, but I even didn't mind Pulaski.
Ooh, Pulaski, as in Catherine Pulaski, Dr.
Yes.
Catherine Pulaski from season was it 3? Help me
Season
out.
2.
Okay, close enough. Okay, sorry, I'm not a Star Trek person. Yeah, I don't know.
I actually know her more from the novels than the TV show because I'm not a huge fan of the first couple of seasons of Next Gen, but they use her a lot in the books, and she's kind of a fun character. She is like Bones in that she's kind of coarse and irascible.
Mm-hmm.
So she's fun.
And I think that's what they were trying to go for when they changed out the doctors, and it didn't work for a lot of people. I was fine with both. If they could have kept both doctors on the ship, that would have been interesting. There was also the briefly seen Dr. Solar, who was fun. Solar.
What's that from?
She was on one episode of Next Gen.
Oh, just like a world. Okay.
Yeah, she was a one-off. She was the Vulcan doctor in the medical department, and she gets called a couple of times later on in the series, but we never see her again.
I'm just looking at Catherine Pulaski, of course, played by Diana Muldaur.
Diana Muldaur?
Yeah, looks like wasn't she in the original Star Trek?
Yeah, she was in 2 episodes of the original Star Trek.
That's awesome. I love that. I love it when they have these throwbacks, and just paying homage to the series of generations, or in this case, classic track that happened before. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Of course, we probably miss a bunch of doctors. It's interesting.
Dr. Phlox.
Oh, and Culber.
There you go.
From Disco.
I'm embarrassed to say I had to look up what his name was. I couldn't remember his name.
Well, and also, if you want to get really, really classic in Trek, there's Boyce from the original pilot, The Cage.
Ooh, that's hardcore.
Yeah.
I like that.
I
I
know.
don't remember that.
We need more sick people. That's what we need for these doctors.
We do?
Actually, yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah, it's a very good. I don't really have a very big of a doctor in Star Trek besides Bones, because again, he's the first guy, right? So I really identified to him because I watch all the reruns in the 70s and early 80s, so that's my gateway into Star Trek. But there's also a major other franchise out there that has some medical stuff happening to it. And of course, I speak about the Star Wars storytelling franchise out there.
Never heard of it.
No, never. No. Yes.
Their medical technology is oddly backwards. Like Padme didn't know she had twins, and she dies in childbirth with a broken heart. They're not as far along as Star Trek is on that field.
No, but if I need a spare hand or to be rebuilt, I think some sort of medical droid from Star Wars, the universe out there, would probably be helpful.
You think they could clone human flesh though to replace limbs and not use robots? Again, that's what I love about Star Wars. It's kind of oddly backwards in some ways.
Yes.
They are kind of like still in like a 1970s mindset of the future, where they don't have good lines of communication, or they have to use physical media for things. It's cute. It makes it a little different.
It's very frontier-like. Like space is a big place, And so, okay. You mentioned the whole giving birth of Luke Skywalker and Leia. Died from a broken heart. Perhaps it was a software update the droid needed. I don't know.
Maybe.
But of course, there's like the entire notion of Bacta tanks being in this liquid to help you heal. That's kind of cool, especially when it came out with The Empire Strikes Back. That was just
but you wonder how long it takes to get all that Bacta off of you, and
That seems like a horrible thing to me, because if Luke was stuck in the Bacta tank in his undies, wearing a mask, and how long did he have to be in there? That must be the most boring thing in the world. I hope they can at least pipe music in there for you or something.
Or give you the option to have a conversation or something. I think that's something that they had mentioned either in Legends or in some of the new novels, that you could actually. The part of the thing with the face mask is not only could you breathe, but you could actually communicate with people on the outside.
I certainly hope so. Otherwise, it sounds like torture.
Well, yeah, it's certainly there's a bit of sensory deprivation going on there.
Have any of you done any scuba diving or anything like that?
I have, actually.
See,
Yeah,
I don't think I could do that, because that again just seems terrifying to me, because what if something goes wrong with the mask, or what if it slips off, or what if your air mix goes out, or
I didn't do it often enough. I was actually less concerned about losing my mask and my breathing apparatus than I was. I lost my weight belt, came off, and I ended up floating back up to the top, and that was fun.
Yeah, I have some experience scuba diving as a recreational diver. Maybe 15, 20 years ago, I did a lot of diving in the Great Lakes. So very poor visibility. We refer to it as braille diving because your visibility may be like a foot or 2 feet sometimes. Because you're doing like working on like boat docks and things like that.
Yeah.
But I recently, as of about 2 months ago, I was in the Turks and Caicos, and I went diving again, which was great in the Caribbean. The visibility was much better, but then again, there's stuff in the ocean that can eat you and kill you, and yeah. So I saw some barracuda, I saw some turtles, I saw a lobster. Yeah, it was pretty cool. So
And that was scuba diving?
that was some scuba diving. And the thing with
Seeing
scuba,
manta rays?
actually, I did. Yeah, lots of manta rays.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really cool. So when you become an astronaut, one of the training you go through is, of course, scuba diving because it prepares you for spacewalking in space. Because you're in an environment that everything there is going to kill you, right? If your equipment fails. So that's why you have redundancy. You have multiple parts there in your life system that if one goes down, hopefully something else saves it. So you always have a pony tank with you, or you have two regulators to breathe in, right? When these Bacta tanks, yeah, I only see the one face mask, but I don't know. I think perhaps if they put some fish in the Bacta tank, that would keep your mind going. So, yeah,
I'm not sure
go fish.
fish would survive a Bacta tank, but okay.
That's Star Wars.
Especially the ones that those rich people use that like eat away at your cuticles to give you that smooth feet thing.
Oh God.
I'm pretty sure that's an actual thing. Like you put your feet in a fish tank and like the fish like nibble away at your cuticles to give you nice smooth feet.
Yeah, let's scale this back. I know. Was it coil? I don't know. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, but you're right. Let's talk about Star Wars again. It's so old fashioned. Look at well, here's one. Revenge of the Sith. You know, our friend Anakin, who became Darth Vader. Spoiler alert. Got his knees cut off by Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's in pain. He took a swim in a bunch of lava. He's on the table, right? Okay, with these droids basically reconstructing his body and going to put this really cool looking black suit on him, very mean looking, and he's screaming and he's just so much pain. Yeah, what about giving him some painkillers? Wouldn't that be a good idea?
But pain helps fuel his anger, and the Emperor needed Vader to be angry, so he could channel the dark side.
Like spare some morphine, or at least some 2 aspirin. Is that too much to ask for?
Apparently so. Yes.
Once again, Star Wars medical technology is very, very backwards.
Okay, so the lesson point here, or the teaching point, is if you're gonna get sick in Star Trek, not in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes.
Oh, there's also
and also we should re-emphasize in the Federation, not like in the Klingon Empire, because they probably wouldn't be that helpful either.
Yeah, what, they just cut off limbs? Educate me.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I mean, look at like General Martok. He lost an eye, and he just they never bothered to fix it.
Yeah, he's a poor sight to see.
Or General Chang, he also lost an eye. He had an eye patch screwed to his face.
Wow.
I've long forgotten all the jokes, but there's a Keith D. Candido series of novels starring Klingon crews, and I'm pretty sure there's like a running gag about the Doctor, but I can't remember anything about it at this point.
One really obscure Star Wars character who's a medical doctor. Any guesses? He's been in 2 movies.
Evazan? He's in the notes here.
Yeah. So, Dr. Cornelius Evazan. He was in the cantina scene in the original New Hope movie, and he made a cameo in Rogue One. Yeah, he's wanted because he was doing medical experiments, so that's probably a bad thing, right? So
he's also a recurring villain in the Dr. Aphra comic books as well.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, he does like a I don't know if is he a medical doctor? He does a kind of social experiment with Dr. Aphra and an evil C-3PO robot.
Interesting.
Maybe he's like a evil psychologist.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if he's a medical doctor or not. I think he might have been.
He's a medical-related doctor, yeah. Creative surgery. He's a surgeon, right? Okay, I'm reading the Wikipedia.
Oh, yeah, he's a surgeon, because he implanted a bomb in Afra. That's right.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I actually do remember hearing about that.
So the first line in the Wikipedia entry for Dr. Cornelis Everzon states that he was a human male from the planet L2 who was a promising cosmetic surgeon until he became gripped by madness and began practicing creative surgery on his patients, leaving his victims horrifically disfigured. And he actually was practicing on himself. That's why his face is all screwed up. Yeah, who knew? Interesting.
Well, I thought he looked beautiful, but I don't judge like you do, Joel.
I know. I get accused of that like a lot, but really, I just want people to get along and leave me alone. That's kind of my life meaning right now. Yes. Other franchises out there. When we think of medical doctors and science fiction, we have our old go-to friend, Babylon 5. Can you remember the doctor in Babylon
Dr.
5?
Franklin.
Yeah,
I love Dr. Franklin. He was awesome.
Dr. Stephen Franklin, right? He was very competent. Sure, he got addicted to stems, but so what?
But there was a war on,
Yeah,
details.
yeah, and whole stealing drugs things. I know in the real world you get fired for that, but nah. He's in the command staff, right? So, yeah. I think Stephen Franklin was good. It's kind of interesting how Babylon 5 is more like Star Trek and less like Star Wars, but it's just not as sophisticated or advanced in terms of its technology.
Well, yeah, because it's not quite. I don't think it's quite as far into the future as Star Trek, for one thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's also supposing that humanity didn't quite get as altruistic as Star Trek assumed it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you said the topic was medical doctors and sci-fi, the first thing I thought of was B5 and the season 1 episode Believers, where the aliens religiously refuse to be treated, and he treats the sun without their permission. And the season 2 episode Confessions and Lamentations, when they have to deal with the Markhab virus wiping out an entire species. That's always the first thing I think of when I think of sci-fi medicine.
Well, there was that machine that cured people by draining the life force of the other person on the end of the machine.
Yeah. And the Deathwalker episode where they invent an immortality drug that will kill people to use it, and then the Vorlons just show up and blow it up, saying you're not ready yet.
Well, and I think we discussed this the last episode. If we learned anything from Star Trek, it's that life prolongation is never ends well.
Yeah, these issues.
So you should just not try.
Yeah.
The quest for immortality never ends well. So you should just seek immortality by doing awesome things and be remembered.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think humanity, they're quite plagued by these problems. So, yeah. And of course, moving on from Babylon to another show or franchise that starts with a B, Battlestar Galactica. Do you remember the Doctor from the reboot?
Dr. Cottle, I loved him.
Yeah.
He had the greatest bedside manner ever.
Dr. Sherman Cottle, yes, he smokes and he is gruff and he told it like it was. So, fantastic.
That guy had the greatest voice. I love just to hear him speak.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of the actor. Who's the actor's?
I don't remember his name, but I know he's passed away at this point.
Yeah. But he was amazing, so, yeah. Battlestar Galactica. Believe it or not, when I first saw Battlestar Galactica, the first couple episodes, I didn't like it at all when it came out. And it took me years after it was actually off the air when I went and I watched all the episodes. And there's a lot of good storytelling happening in that franchise. I just couldn't get past the first couple of episodes when I first saw it.
I need to go back and watch that at some point. I only got through like 1 or 2 episodes myself.
I actually just recently rewatched most of it because Mark Bernardin and Tricia Helfer started doing a podcast reviewing the series. They just finished season 2 at this point, So I've been listening to that, and that got me to go back and watch it. And yeah, it is a good series. I didn't appreciate it so much when it first came out. I found it generally to be slow and boring because they didn't have a lot of action. A lot of times it's just like people stuck on the ship being miserable with each other. But I appreciate it more as an adult now.
Yeah, it's like podcasting. I mean, no. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't gonna say it. But...
All right. This is fun. We're just running out like the list of medical doctors in science fiction. So this may be a list show, but let's try having fun, right? So,
sure.
Yeah. Any Lost in Space fans here?
Yeah.
You mean the reboot?
The reboots. Yeah, I only saw the first couple of episodes on Netflix, but there's actually the original one as well. There's a person who plays a medical doctor. Spoiler alert. So, yeah. Dr. Smith?
Yeah. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so if you're going to pretend you're someone you're not, you may as well pretend someone who requires specific expertise in doing your tradecraft, right? Like being a medical doctor. Yeah. What could go wrong? Yeah. There you go.
Personally, my Lost in Space is the 1998 movie starring Joey Tribbiani from Friends. That's what I think of when I think of Lost in Space. And sadly, that's not a joke. That's actually true.
Oh, God, Derek. I love Derek.
I didn't see the original series, so yeah, when I think of Lost in Space, I think of that movie.
Oh, God. There's that. Yeah.
I did watch the Netflix show, and it's good, but it was a little too long in the tooth and slow for me.
Mm.
Yeah, because we know you have the attention span of what, an ant?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah, there you go. So, Derek, you must really hate Planets of the Apes, right? Oh, Planet of the Apes.
I do remember watching the first movie a few years ago and finding it pretty slow.
Yeah. Well,
I was a fan of the 2001 Tim Burton version.
So, Planet of the Apes, huge franchise in the 60s and early 70s. There's a doctor, Dr. Zira, I believe, is how you pronounce it.
Mm-hmm.
Z. This is the Canadian American going.
Zira?
Yeah. Z or a Z? Z-I-R-A or Z-I-R-A. Z-Z, yeah.
Not sure.
There you go. Yeah, please, let's not go ape on each other on that.
You also forgot one on this list, Dr. Zaius.
I was about to say, I thought the name was Dr. Zaius.
Was it Dr. Zaius? Who's that?
Well, Zira was a doctor too, but Dr. Zaius was the one. Wasn't he the one who was in charge of all the humans?
Yeah.
Was he an orangutan?
He was an orangutan.
Oh, right. But was he a medical doctor, or was he some sort of other doctor?
You might be right. Never mind.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, I went straight to the female, humanoid ape person. So yeah, that's happened. Terrible. Yeah. So and the whole thing is that sometimes they don't define doctors in science fiction. You know how many doctors there are in the comic books? Like, for God's sake, what type of doctor are you? Like, where did you go to school at? Where did you get your PhD? Okay, so important, or your MD. Yeah.
Well, we know Doctor Strange was a surgeon.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, Doctor Strange. I think Dr. Stephen Strange. Yes, I think he's probably the only well-known one who went to medical school in the Marvel universe. I thought there's this whole business with Thor, which I really don't understand. If you could, please tell me what happened with Thor and becoming a medical doctor. But yeah, so there's that.
Oh yeah, because his alias was Dr. Donald Blake.
Yeah, yeah. You can think of any other medical doctors in, say, Marvel or DC? I know there's some smaller, obscure ones in the comics if you pull up different lists.
The JSA has Dr. Midnight. I'm not terribly familiar with him, but I know he is the kind of like the DC go-to surgeon or morgue person.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Mr. Terrific has doctorates, but those wouldn't be medical.
Well, I mean, Arrowverse, Mr. Terrific is like seven doctorates in and he's mostly a tech guy, I think.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for Dr. Renner Graham to make an appearance. Yeah, I know his doctor's not in medicine, but yeah, if he's actually becomes
Yeah, he's not that kind of doctor.
I know, it's terrible, horrible. But I digress. Okay, guys, it's time for me to cite my favorite movie, my cult classic movie from 1984 by David Lynch. Of course, I'm talking about Dune, and the minor character by the name of Dr. Wellington Yea, Y-U-E-H. Yui. Yeah, oh, that's right, Yui. Yeah, the great traitor. If you're on one side of the
1,000 deaths were not enough for Yui.
Yes. So imagine being the personal doctor of the Grand Duke, or basically the person who's in charge of your planet or your country or your side. Yeah, that's a lot of responsibility.
This is true.
Yeah, it really bites. Yeah. Of course, my favorite medical doctor in science fiction, besides McCoy, because he's up there on my list, it's a little known federal agent that's on the way up. Her name is Dr. Dana Scully. She works on a bunch of X-Files.
Yes. She did have a medical degree, didn't she?
Yeah, that's why she does all the autopsies. Because she's a smart person. Okay. Yeah, Dana Scully. It's great. I'm probably the biggest X-Files fan here. I know it really does kind of cross between science fiction and the whole woo-woo cult business out there. But yeah, I actually like Dana Scully. Yeah,
well, did you know that when I was in high school, my very first website was an X-Files mythology guide?
See, if you would have told me when you were in high school and you were dating Dana Scully, it would be a better story. But sure, let's go with that.
This was in the days before DVDs, and I would tape the mythology episodes, or probably all of them, off VHS, and I would freeze frame to look at things. Like, I remember watching the Erlenmeyer Flask, the season 1 finale, over and over again, trying to count all the tanks of alien hybrids that they show for one brief fleeting second, because somehow that was important to me.
That's great.
That's how in detail I was on that.
Most of the X-Files were filmed in Vancouver, and there was a period where they moved down to LA. But yeah, so it was mostly part of the episode you're describing was probably shot in Canada. Yeah,
seasons 1 through 5 was in Vancouver, and then 6 to the end was in Los Angeles.
6 to end. I know they did the 2 seasons last year, the year before, and yeah, that's probably in LA as well. So yeah.
I was very disappointed with that revival. They had 15 years to come up with good episodes, and they just were not good for me.
Yeah, I didn't mind them. I didn't see the last few because I didn't get access because I'm a cord cutter, and I didn't want to sign up for some sort of like Crave TV thing to actually see it. So yeah, terrible. It's the monsters out there, guys. The monsters. Speaking of which, enter our next medical doctor of the day. It's a creation of a little-known Irish author by the name of Mary Shelley. She created this, this person by the name of Dr. Victor Frankenstein. You guys know anything about that?
Oh, no, never heard of him.
Yeah. He was very ambitious. He was very focused on, preserving and creating life, so to speak. So, yeah. But you think of it, we did a show back in the day on Frankenstein. That's like 2 years ago. I still think that's one of the major influences on science fiction. Basically,
he's also very big on recycling.
Yeah, definitely recycling. It's a bit. He got a bit part there. No. Of course, but he's not the one from classic literature that's a medical doctor. We also have Dr. Henry Jekyll from Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the Robert Louis Stevenson's piece of literature. So, yeah, medical doctors have been part of science fiction for a while now. Yeah, you take Dr. Jekyll and Dr. Victor Frankenstein, and you put them up against, Leonard McCoy and Bones from Star Trek. It's a bit of a difference there, right? Yeah.
Well, and there's also when I don't know if he was a medical doctor, but there's also Dr. Moreau.
Ah, right. Yes, something to go mad about. Yeah.
And there's a very, very cool set of novels by Kim Newman called Anno Dracula, where it's like a mashup of like all of these different fictional and literary characters, but Dr. Moreau and Dr. Jekyll are working together. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. We need more mad medical doctors. Yeah, out there. At least in storytelling. Not in real life, but in storytelling.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to bring up this guy. It's controversial because I don't think he's a medical doctor, but he's so knowledgeable. He may have got a medical degree along the way. And you guys know this franchise better than I do. What's the story with Doctor Who? Because he has doctor in his name.
He's not that kind of doctor.
She's a woman.
She is not that kind of doctor.
No, don't say he, she. That person. Gender neutral.
Yeah. Well, you could just call them the doctor now, and just say, the doctor is not that kind of doctor.
Right.
We don't know what kind of. They know stuff.
The doctor exists to help people, and that is ultimately the true purpose of medicine.
Yes. Oh, he could have had a doctorate in law. It could be just like Randall Graham. They probably were in the same class together. And there's that. Yeah. Yes.
Are you implying that Randall is over 1,000 years old?
Randall's special, and just ask his students. Yeah, we don't know yet.
When someone shaves all the hair on their head, it's always really hard to tell how old they are. Just look at Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, and he's been writing these novels like Before Life and After Life and like Midlife Crisis and I don't whatever life. So he's kind of fixated on the whole mortality thing. So
that is true.
Yeah, there's that. Love you, Randall. Yes, there's also another franchise out there which I think is really cool in terms of like medical treatment. The whole Alien franchise, with these this self-contained tank that actually does surgery. I think it's called a Pauling MedPod 720i. This is where
720. You sure it's a resolution of some kind?
Maybe that is. I don't know. I stole it from some wiki somewhere. Yeah. So no, you can go in there. You can hit the button and let the device actually take the baby alien out of you. So there's that. Yeah, and then they will cauterize the wound afterwards, and give you a lollipop on the way out. That's kind of cool.
Maybe.
That sequence was so horrifying in Prometheus. I still think that's one of the more memorable moments of cinema.
Yeah, because if you're talking about that, it's the whole self-abortion thing, right? It's caught up in procreation and life and just offspring and responsibilities and just a genetic where it just doesn't care about nurture. It's all about nature. It just evil stuff. That's like a Frankenstein's monster right there. But to lighten up, we have to actually say who is the most competent doctor in science fiction. Little guy by the name of Dr. John A. Zoidberg from Futurama.
Okay.
Yeah. So, he does. He does his best. Yeah.
Sure.
I love Dr. Zoidberg.
Oh God, you probably can do some lines from him. Can you quote him? Do the accent.
No.
Put in this.
No,
Come on.
my
Yeah. You're just gonna claw it back, right? Okay. Yeah.
Well, I remember one time he was eating garbage and he said, "A feast is a feast."
There you go. Good.
It's funny about Zoidberg because when the series first started, he actually was a competent, well put together person who just didn't understand anything about human physiognomy. But then as the series went on, he became this pathetic, awful person who just had no money and no prospects, and it was like a complete 180 from the way he was in the first few episodes. And I think I kind of preferred the original version of it.
Yeah, that's called socialized medicine, by the way. No. Futurama. Okay. I know maybe two or three medical doctors in my life who I was my own medical doctors as casual, socially. Yeah, it's a very challenging profession and takes a lot of brains. And residency sucks because you're not going to get any sleep for 2 years. So, God bless anyone who's out there doing medical school. Yeah. I'm not that smart. That's not how my brain works. Plus, I don't like the whole inner workings of human bodies. That kind of grosses me out. But, yeah. Moving on.
Yeah, I can see the most disgusting murder, death, kill scene in a horror movie, but actually seeing an actual real life surgery is utterly horrifying, and I cannot watch it at all. It's just.
Yeah, it is what it is. But yeah. Galaxy Quest. There was a doctor in Galaxy's Quest.
Yes.
Dr. Lazarus. Pretty sure he's a medical doctor. The movie's kind of vague on this.
Yeah, they don't really specify whether or not he's a medical doctor or not.
Yeah, but they put him like doctor. Of course, he's a takeoff of Spock, and Spock wasn't a medical doctor, but this guy could be. And of course, since we mentioned his name, Dr. Lazarus, we gotta say the quote. Who wants to say the quote? I think, Derek, you do the voices, right? Do the quote from Dr. Lazarus.
By Grapnar's hammer, I shall avenge you.
That's by
Did I say it right? I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
No, it's by Grapnar's hammer, by the sons of Raven, ye shall be avenged. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to quit my day job anytime soon. I thought I want to. Yeah. Yes, medical doctors and science fiction. Let's run through a list and talk about that. Can you think of any other medical doctors in science fiction that's kind of cool, which I missed? I know I missed a bunch. And Derek, listener, if you can think of any, tweet at us. Let us know. We'll retweet you, okay? Because we know we miss a lot of medical doctors out there in science fiction, especially in literature.
Here's a real piece of obscure trivia. In 1998, the CW briefly did a science fiction medical show called Mercy Point. It aired for 3 episodes before they canceled it. I actually have a very vague memory of watching it. It starred Joe Morton, who was Miles Dyson in Terminator 2. And it was, a few hundred years in the future on a space station, and it was basically a medical drama that happened to be on a space station. And it didn't last.
I think Caitlin Snow on Flash is a medical doctor.
Yeah, she is.
And one of the main villains this season is Bloodwork, aka Ramsey Russo, who is also a medical doctor.
Oh, is that his code name, Bloodwork?
Yeah.
I don't think they've said that once yet on the show. When you do a DC centric podcast, you learn these things.
Yeah, what makes for a good medical doctor in science fiction? I like the whole, ornery, impatient type, but that's just me. In real life, I don't. But in storytelling, yeah, I do like my doctors that way.
Yeah, they should always have a strong, forceful personality.
Yes.
Yeah, I value competency a lot. And it's always sad when people die.
That's also important, I think.
Yeah, but if not, storytelling, you lose your main characters each time they get shot or they get sick. It's just not good. But then you have to introduce new characters, and yeah, terrible.
Yeah, that's a pain.
I know we could talk about a bunch of robots that's been taken over. Was it lots of robots? I'm having a brain for it. What's the Disney one? Big something 6? Was it?
Big Hero 6?
Yeah, there's that.
Oh yeah, Baymax.
Yeah.
He's a therapeutic robot. I guess that counts.
Well, and he also does medical care and stuff like that too, and he's squishy.
Absolutely. And we're not even talking about the psychologists or psychiatrists out there, right? No Deanna Troi, counselor types, but that's part of the medical, arena, so to speak.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's an entire own show talking about talking about our issues, mental health issues. Yes. Where's my wine? Okay. Any last thoughts before we wrap the show up?
I don't think so. I could be wrong. I don't know.
I know, Derek.
Does somebody please invent a hypospray? Quickly.
Hyperspray. Right. Yeah, hyperspray. Okay. Well, I think this is a fairly decent show. Just a quick show run through. Our next episode should be out in about 2 weeks. Since my other stuff that's happened in my life has basically been resolved. I'm going to be more focused on doing this podcast and trying to do other podcasts as well.
Nice.
If you want to be part of this community, please re-invite anyone with our Discord server. It's free. Just look to our social media for invites and be part of the community. Sometimes it's rocking, sometimes it's not. It's like most Discord servers for podcasts out there. We're on Twitter, which we focus on sci-fi and industry news. It's managed by myself. And we also have an Instagram account, which is focused on like food, drink, restaurants type stuff, which of course is managed by myself, because someday I do want to own a pub if I ever win the lottery. We have a Facebook page managed by Derek. Hey, Derek. You're doing a great job on the Facebook.
Thank you.
Keep it up. Our Twitter address is at SciFi Pubcast. Our email address is at management@scifipubcast.space. Please leave us a review on any platform that you find our podcast at. We're trying to grow our community. And what else? That's about it. I can be found on Twitter at Joel_Welch. Carrie, what's your Twitter address?
Joel, I can't hear you.
There we go. Carrie, what's your Twitter address? Okay.
I can hear you, Joel.
Well, her address is at Carrie Blackfire at 42. Carrie Blackfire 42. Since we're wrapping this up, I'm not going to solve this tech issue. Derek, what's your Twitter address?
I am at Derek J. Beebe. And everybody check out Disney Plus in a day and a half.
Yay! Okay, closing time. Please make it home safe. And we see you next time. Bye now.
Bye. Carrie is waving bye.
I can't hear anyone but bye.
Music provided courtesy of Logan Rathbone. Podcast logo by Jea Rhea. Copyrighted Joe Welch. Listen responsibly. And we can't wait for your next visit to our fine establishment. Cheers.